Fest fever. Laura Hampshire has the highlights from opening night. All that and more when we come back.
The Winnipeg Folk Festival is getting underway in our city tonight. Hussein Madhavji was at Birds Hill Park and has all the details.
The music is definitely the core of it. I mean, you come here and you can enjoy it in a very intimate way, I think, here, because the stages are close. You'll see the musicians walking around and being driven around the site. It's a way of actually bringing, I think, music and nature and friends together in a really wonderful and safe way.
The Folk Fest was first launched in 1974 as a one-time event to celebrate Winnipeg's 100th anniversary. Now, the Folk Fest has grown substantially since then and will see over 250 acts from all over the world perform on 7 stages.
Just real music played by real people without a bunch of drum loops and hocus pocus and smoke and mirrors, you know, it's just good.
All music comes from, you know, old music, because it all came from somewhere, which is traditional music and folk music. And why isn't there more folk music on TV? Because it's where it all comes from. And when people hear it, they really like it too.
The Winnipeg Folk Fest is expecting over 33,000 people from all over North America to be here at Birds Hill Park over the next 4 days.
I'm from the States. I get to leave the States, which is nice. It's really good music, and I think a lot of the music that you see here, you end up hearing a lot later.
We just started coming, and it's like a magnet. It keeps bringing us back. And so it's our summer holiday. It kicks off summer for us.
We like music, take time off work, and just schedule it in every year. I think it is probably the best thing that they could do for themselves to start off the summer. I mean, if they want to put themselves truly in a mood to sort of enjoy the rest of the summer and feel like they've taken their worries off their shoulders and found some beautiful moments, they should come here. We guarantee they will love it.
The Winnipeg Folk Fest will be going on until Sunday afternoon. Daily tickets are still available for $40 at the gate. At Birds Hill Park, I'm Hussein Madhavji, reporting for A-Channel Wired.
Thanks, Hussein. And as you heard, several award-winning folk artists will be performing at the festival this weekend. Colin Linden arrived in town today and stopped by the Forks for a little acoustic set.
I might have lost another round.
Colin Linden is an accomplished singer, songwriter, guitarist, and producer. He has been on over 150 albums and has worked with such artists as Bruce Cockburn, Colin James, and T-Bone Burnett. Colin says although he's worked in all aspects of the music industry, he could never pick a favorite.
Well, I love doing it all because it all, one helps the other. Although really, playing the guitar gives me immediate and undying pleasure. And in some ways, the reason that I became a sideman was so that I could play more guitar.
Colin Linden will be performing tomorrow at 12:30 and 3:30, and then again on Saturday at stages 3 and 4.
Hells Angels. And the Winnipeg Folk Festival begins its 4-day run at Birds Hill Park tonight. We'll show you what's happening at the Winnipeg Folk Festival at Birds Hill Park. But up next, the latest to save a classroom habit.
Just a few sights and sounds before one of the largest folk festivals in North America gets underway. Soon this empty field will look more like this. Great music, food, and fun are all staple features that more than 33,000 festival fans have come to expect every year. But this year, there is something different. New artistic director Rick Fenton.
Well, this is one of the great jobs in the arts in Canada. So when it came up, I was ecstatic. I was very happy to take the job.
Fenton says with nearly 1,500 volunteers helping out, it's made taking the reins for the 28th Folk Fest quite easy. But what's a new job without a little of the unexpected? Fenton's waiting on a band who's stuck in their Central African country because of a coup.
They're slated to take Saturday night, and we think we're going to do it. They were supposed to be here Friday, but I think they're going to... I'm thinking where it's going to happen, you know? You got to be positive. So that kind of stuff, obviously, you can't foresee it.
But die-hard folkies shouldn't expect any drastic changes, except for the better. Fenton made sure better ditches were dug to tackle any wet weather woes.
If there is any weather, to get it off, not just during the festival, but year-round, so that we keep sort of a lower water table.
But then again, others might say one of the best things about Folk Festival is a little fun in the mud. Eleanor Koopsamy, CKY5 News.
John Sutter will have your Folk Fest Pinpoint Provincial Forecast. But up next, the gold...
One of Winnipeg's premier festivals kicked off last night, and it didn't take much to talk Global's Andrew Lee into this assignment. He takes you now into the heart of Folk Fest, the campground.
The Folk Fest campground is pumping full of life, and with oh so many different types of campers.
This is Shantytown number 4.
This is my old ass tent. Can I say ass? Sorry. It extends down there, so we have a sitting and drinking area with picnic tables.
It seems like more drinking than sitting, to be honest.
Yeah.
What's this one?
I don't know. That one's all different too. That's like an extra. I think it might end up looking something like that. But I don't know. Well, maybe. That's
probably more like that one there.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna go look. How's this tent look?
So what did you want to know? Instead of being hot, which you would probably think, it's actually really, really cold underneath there. It's like air conditioning pretty much with that wind. It's really nice in there. Technique.
So the black reflects.
That's it. Yeah.
Thanks, MacGyver.
And we can't forget.
No limits, basically, you know. Just go off and do whatever you want. Nobody cares. I don't know. It just started pouring hard, and you just see him. He's having a good old time, and all of a sudden, you're just like, don't need these. Off it goes, and the rain just starts coming down super hard. There's lightning everywhere, and yeah, it's a good time.
Where do these come into play?
We want to make it bigger, want to make more improvements, get all the holes out of all the tarps.
Just how important is camping?
I think it's more important than, almost more important than the festival, because everyone comes together here.
Andrew Lee, Global News, at the Winnipeg Folk Festival.
What exactly did he take off?
His underwears, briefs.
I don't rodeo.
This program.
Sisters to the Crash Test Dummy. Some big Canadian names will be at this year's 28th annual Winnipeg Folk Festival. Global's Lisa Best has more on this gathering of people and music.
Last night, everyone and the dog showed up to support Canadian artists at the Folk Festival's opening night. Even the members of headlining acts were mingling with old friends.
I noticed that it was all Canadian artists tonight, and I think that's great. I mean, there's tons of good Canadian artists around, and most of the ones that are internationally successful are not the ones that I particularly like, but some of the ones...
Celine Dion is not here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of good shows going on tonight, and it's looking like a good program.
The Folk Festival has a big weekend ahead of itself in Birds Hill Park. Even new artistic director Rick Fenton has his favorites picked out.
I desperately want to see again, I haven't seen her since Folk Alliance when I saw her set and hired her in the spot, Erin McEwen, who's a young songwriter from the States that I'm nuts about. One of my favorite bands is here this weekend that I've seen for years, well, years, they've only been together for 2 or 3, is a group of women called Painting Daisies, who absolutely knock me out.
Check out the main stage action starting at 6 o'clock. The Waybacks, the Be Good Tanyas, Tri-Continental, Alejandro Escovedo, and Michelle Schock will be on stage. Saturday afternoon from 2 to 3, there's a special concert featuring Blue Rodeo. Saturday evening starting at 6 p.m., you can check out the Weird Sisters, Stephen Fearing, Danu, and the Waifs, all the way from Australia.
You know, we have a very laid-back attitude, very open to a lot of new music. I mean, the festivals in Australia are small compared to this, but we did a festival last weekend out in Nova Scotia, and it was amazing. Just couldn't stop smiling, and the people we met, the musicians we interacted with, it was fabulous.
So you're on a roll here.
Absolutely. I'm so excited, I can't. I'm having trouble sleeping already.
See you at the Folk Fest. For Global News, I'm Lisa Best.
Wasn't sure if it was a long weekend.
Can you wave, Erin?
From sunrise to sunset.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
The 28th annual Winnipeg Folk Festival got off to a thunderous start last night. About 10,000 fans flocked to Birds Hill Park and rocked to the beat of the Cowboy Junkies, Sarah Harmer, Scrooge McDuck, Sue Foley, and the Crash Test Dummies. Here are some of the highlights of last night's opening concert.
Night and a great weekend.
Here's some highlights from last night's all-Canadian lineup at the Winnipeg Folk Festival at Birds Hill Park.
And it just wouldn't be the Winnipeg Folk Festival without a few thunder boomers, but at least they happened overnight. Now in its 28th season, this festival is becoming more popular every year, with over 80 acts from 10 different countries performing on 7 stages. Somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people are expected to attend this year. The festival kicked off last night with all Canadian nights. Here's a look.
Sarah. The Winnipeg Folk Festival from the fans' perspective. Stick around.
The Winnipeg Folk Festival is definitely in full swing tonight. Hundreds of people are gathering at Birds Hill Park, and our own Hussein Madhavji caught up with one particular fan who has a folk dream of his own.
You can pull out a song of your own and people appreciate it, and that's a great thing. You know, that's not always happening in a bar situation. People like to hear the hits or dance music these days, and I guess this crowd here, it's a nice environment because all these people do come here and they're open. They have open minds when it comes to music, and that's a huge part of it all for me.
Jeff Ames is a struggling musician who once performed on stage at the Winnipeg Folk Fest, but is now forced to work as a computer technician in order to make a living.
You can become, you know, many things pretty good. But pretty good musician, either, not even whether you're good or not, I guess it's a lot of marketing and that kind of stuff, but if you happen to hit the big time, you either make a lot of money or no money, and it's kind of no in between. There's just not a great little professional career that you can count on. And
Jeff hopes to make it back on stage here at the Winnipeg Folk Fest, and his friends think that he has got what it takes.
He's really good, actually, and he's got a great rhythm, and he's got a great sense for music. You can tell that he's played in bands before and done hours and hours of practicing.
I'd play anywhere, anytime. I just love it, you know, as long as people are willing to listen, I'm good.
As Jeff jams with his fellow campers here inside the campgrounds at the Winnipeg Folk Fest, come Monday morning, he goes back to a normal job. At the campgrounds, I'm Hussein Madhavji reporting for A Channel Wired.
Thanks, Hussein. Well, one of the bands performing at the Folk Festival tries to appeal to music lovers, well, all of them. The Waybacks are from San Francisco, California, and were the opening act at tonight's main stage. They call themselves the love child of several other San Francisco Bay bands because they play everything from bluegrass, folk, country, and gospel. They perform at several festivals throughout the year and just released their debut CD called Devolver.
We brought a huge variety of music individually, and when you put it all together, you know, it was very organic. There was no consciousness to our stage act. There was no consciousness to the way we did our music. It's just that we sat down and we play, and it came out that we had all these different interests that come across naturally. So there's nothing forced, and it's like I said, it's very organic, and it moves us, so it seems to move people too.
The Waybacks will be performing again at the Folk Fest tomorrow and Sunday at Stage 1. But the
Blue Rodeo, just one of many great bands taking the stage at the Folk Festival. That's coming up in 2 minutes.
Thanks, Karen. Day 3 of the Folk Fest. We went over to Birds Hill Park to catch one of the main attractions, Blue Rodeo. This is Blue Rodeo's second time at the Winnipeg Folk Fest. The 4-time Juno Award winners played all the classics from their 9 albums, as well as some new tunes that they're working on. Blue Rodeo is in the process of recording their 10th album, which will incorporate a horn and string section, making their music more soulful.
In one way, it makes you sound retro. It makes you sound like the 70s when you put those things in. But in another way, I don't know why, but it sounds fresh to me. It's exciting to me to hear those sounds. We've done a lot of gigs with the horns, and when I hear them come in, it is a kind of brightness and happiness that has not usually accompanied our music. So it's surprising, and in a good way.
Blue Rodeo's next album is expected to be released in spring 2002. The band is off to Calgary tomorrow. Apart from the Folk Festival main stage, there are 6 other stages on site that are a big hit with fans and musicians alike. The workshops are a chance for the audience to connect with the artists. We spoke to a few of them to find out what's so good about the workshops.
Swear you don't believe in him.
It's a acoustic music lover's dream. You're not jacked up on a big stage with the lights, which is great in the spectacle of things, but the workshop is just really a kind of a plain Jane kind of affair, but it still has some magic to it.
5 musicians get up on a stage and somebody in the middle sort of mediates a topic and says, you know, bad relationships. And then you have to kind of think of a song that you've written that's just a bad relationship. And some are funny and some are really sad, and it's really neat to hear different people's takes on it.
These workshops on smaller stages draw in crowds all day long. They break the barrier between the audience and the artist.
Much more relaxed atmosphere. I prefer it much more than the center stage. This is much more intimate, and you feel close.
People are involved in everyone else's music, and it's just I don't know, it's an amazing experience.
An intimate rapport with the artist, which is also what a folk festival is really good for, because you really get to enjoy, especially from the workshops, talking to musicians personally, hearing stories and exchanging stories, the musicians to each other. Yeah, that's really fun.
The workshops here at the festival are something different for artists. It takes music down to its essentials and at times inspires them to write.
It kind of kicks your ass about working on new stuff. I mean, I think the idea in some ways is that you try to push yourself.
And if it inspires you to write, well, here's some advice.
Say what you feel, and to, you know, usually say just if you have something out that you want to say it, and try to be different. And you know, the weirder you feel, bring that out in yourself, and you know, celebrate that instead of being embarrassed or ashamed by that. You know?
Today it sounds happy like a nursery rhyme, and you're not
Weekend and nightlife at the Folk Fest. Find out what happens when the music stops. That story when News at 6 returns.
And yep, I was working pretty late last night. The campgrounds at Birds Hill Park is the other half of the Folk Festival experience. It is spiritual, inspiring, everybody's out having a good time. No stage, no headliners, pure music all night long.
It's all low end. You can hear from miles away, you can hear the pounding thunder of the drums, but you can't hear the high-end stuff. So I'm here to represent the high end.
I love drums, and that's the only thing I ever really think about. And to get so many drummers and so many people coming out and supporting the whole Folk Fest, supporting all the musicians, is having a great time, you know, bringing the energy level way up. that's what it's all about, you know, that's what Folk Fest is all about.
Would you have come to the Folk Festival if this wasn't going on?
I would not. No, like this, you can't explain this. This is it's
No,
if you're not here, if you're not here at the time, you can never explain it to people unless you're right here, right at the moment.
I'm from Wisconsin, and this is my 4th year coming here. And this is the greatest party I've ever been to.
You can't explain this unless you're here.
It's awesome.
You can't explain this unless you're here.
Whether you even go see the main stage or not, that's not even what the whole deal's about. I think it's what's going on in the campground here.
All right, it's 2:45 in the morning. The actual planned festival finished 4 hours ago. Walk across the street to festival campgrounds, and the party is still going here on Pope's Hill.
Everybody in Canada, plus everybody from the States, is coming here to have a great time.
It's totally a part of the festival. Everyone that comes here to party really knows about the Pope's Hill.
You know what? This is my first time sleeping over camping here, and I'm doing it again next year and the year after that. All for this. This is the best.
What a night. Tonight, Folk Finale.
Packed Folk Festival winds down at Birds Hill Provincial Park. Hussein Haji has that right after the break.
28th Annual Folk Festival wrapped up this afternoon, and I think it's safe to say that the 4-day event was a success. Thousands from all over North America flocked to Birds Hill Park for the Winnipeg Folk Festival. A record-breaking 40,000 people, maybe even more, came out this year, shattering last year's numbers. Over 250 acts performed for the crowd on 7 different stages over the course of 4 days. Organizers are more than pleased with this year's festival.
It's just amazing, though. Well, gods have smiled on us. The weather's been wonderful. The people have been great. The musicians have given 110%. The volunteers have given 120%. It's been a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It feels like a little community out here. I was saying earlier, I think, you know, maybe we should just keep going until September. We'd see little shelters start going up. I'm getting all, you know, it can't be over. It can't be Sunday.
And organizers are already planning ahead for next year.
With climbing throughout the weekend, and it seems so are the crowds at this year's Folk Festival. Yesterday, about 13,500 folk fans kicked up their heels at the Birds Hill Park event. That's almost 3,500 more people than last year. And overall attendance for the entire weekend was also up. Over 40,000 people attended the Folk Fest, and that's a record. Stronger entertainment lineup and incredible weather for this year's record attendance.
It's been wonderful. I mean, the weather has been spectacular. The artists have really had a great time. They've put out, musically, it's been great. I mean, the whole site looks, you know, we did our site drainage, so, you know, that actually does help. Even if it's sunny like this, if we hadn't done the work we'd done, it would be a bit mucky. It isn't, it's dry. So that was money well spent. I'm hearing reports from, you know, the artisans can't keep up with stuff. The food vendors are going crazy. They've got enough food. I'm not panicking anybody. There's lots there. They're in the business, so they're happy to sell as much as they can. We've been blessed, you know. It's been a wonderful year.
To now TKY 5 News. Great weather, great fun, and a great big record at this year's Winnipeg Folk Festival. And just what is true to ear.
Very pleased, but I can't take sole credit for it. I mean, you know, I like to think a lot of it has to do with the lineup, but at the same time, I mean, the gods have been with us. The weather has been incredible. You know.
Are calling this the most successful Winnipeg Folk Festival ever. When it's all over early tomorrow morning, organizers say more than 40,000 people will have taken in the 4-day event. That's a jump of about 7,000 from last year. This was the scene late this afternoon as festival goers took in the sights and sounds.
It's a great year. We've exceeded a lot of box office. You know, we've jumped over a lot of hoops, a lot of standards. We've really increased our attendance this year. So we had the best day ever Thursday night, and we're probably going to have the highest attendance ever this weekend.
It was a perfect summer weekend in southern Manitoba, and record numbers of folkies took advantage of it. More than 41,000 people attended the Winnipeg Folk Festival. Kaveri Batira reports on the successful 4-day event.
The festivities are over.
Bye, Winnipeg. I love you. I'll see you next year. Now I'm an MC.
Musicians from the Folk Festival are saying their goodbyes and packing it up after a weekend filled with entertainment and memories.
It all worked in an amazing way. And I think everybody came away from it feeling like it was one of the very special experiences.
More than 41,000 tickets had been sold by the time the box office closed Sunday night. That's the highest attendance since the Folk Festival began 29 years ago. The weather was ideal, hot and sunny with temperatures as high as 30 degrees. Musical highlights included Canadian acts such as the Cowboy Junkies and Sarah Harmer. The festival's new artistic director says he knows the lineup and weather were a big help, but he says the growing reputation of the festival itself is a big draw.
I think we've reached a point in the festival's history where people are aware of it, existing. We don't have to tell people. I don't think there's anybody in this area or in our demographic that we have to say, hey, have you ever heard of the Winnipeg Folk Festival? I think everybody knows it's there.
For organizers of other upcoming events, the Folk Festival's attendance is encouraging. The executive director of the Fringe Festival says he's noticing that more Winnipeggers are sticking around for events close to home.
There's an awful lot to do within their city, so they're spending their summers in town. They're not going to the lake as much, perhaps. And for tourists coming from out of town, there's more and more every year, too. So it's quite exciting, and I think only says good things about our festival and all the other festivals this summer.
Despite the thousands that attended the Folk Festival, RCMP say it was trouble-free. No arrests were made. Officers on duty say people came out for a weekend full of fun, and that's exactly what they got. Kaveri Batira, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, to RCMP.
Plus, you went, you partied, and you heard great music all weekend long at Folk Fest. We recap all of the action up next.
The 28th annual Winnipeg Folk Festival came and went this past weekend, and it was a huge success. A great lineup of folk musicians along with some beautiful weather brought in a record number of people to this year's festival. More than 40,000 people attended the 3.5-day event, which is a major increase over last year's 33,000. Folk Fest had a great lineup of performers this year, including the Cowboy Junkies, Crash Test Dummies, Scrooge McDuck, and Blue Rodeo. But organizers are already looking ahead to next year.
We're starting to plan already. Of course, starting this week, we analyze what happened and what were the good points, what were the bad points, what do we have to change, what we improve, what are some of the themes, what might be our look. So we are in progress already. The festival has ended and we're thinking for next year.
Organizers say the only problem with this year's Folk Fest was to try and find a cooler spot in the shade.
Yeah.
This program.
The Winnipeg Folk Festival has hit a new high note over the past 3.5 days. Temperatures were high, the music was continuous, and a record number of fans converged at Birds Hill Park.
Between 40 and 41,000. We're thrilled with that. I mean, it is absolutely excellent. Last year we had 33,600 people, so this is a huge increase for us. One of our biggest partners was the weather. I mean, it was the first absolutely fabulous Winnipeg weekend. We also had a great lineup of music, of course, and people know that the Winnipeg Folk Festival, when everything comes together, isn't it the most magical place to be in Winnipeg?
In addition to the festival's Saturday afternoon lineup also proved popular.
We had, for the first time in many years, a Saturday afternoon concert at Main Stage, and it was really magical. I mean, I don't know if you were there, but the air was almost electric. People were excited, and there was a really good sense of sort of community and the specialness of summer there.
Where does that put you financially now?
For this year, I mean, our numbers, of course, have to solidify, but we know that we always budget in a very conservative way because we have to be realistic about the fact that we cannot control the weather, so that there is that big item that we have to actually, plan very carefully for. So that certainly in our rather conservative budgeting, we are certainly more than happy. I mean, we're in a good position to sort of invest for the future and ensure that should those rainy years come again, the festival will endure.
In other words, they made quite a bit of money. A local Winnipeg...
Organizers of the Winnipeg Folk Festival credit sunny skies and high temperatures for record-breaking crowds at the event. The 28th annual music festival, which wrapped up last night, attracted at least 41,000 paying fans over 4 days. That smashes the cumulative attendance record of nearly 37,000 set in 1998 during the event's 25th anniversary. More than 80 performers graced the stage at this year's event, entertaining some of the largest crowds in the festival's history.